I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube, joined by my buddy Gore Dymowski and my buddy Patrick McCray. We're here to continue our episode picks. This is episode 727, chosen by Patrick McCray. Uh, really, really good. Narrated by Nancy Barrett, written by Sam Hall. So this is 1897, obviously, and we're going to start with Jerry Lacey praying, and then Barnabas walks in on him. What did you guys think of this opening? Really cool.
It's strong. I mean, yeah, it very clearly posits Trask as an important and powerful character who has taken the room of revelry, the room of secular drinking and revelry, and turned it into a prayer pit. And you know, you can just imagine how Barnabas feels when he walks into the house and he hears that. Just when I thought I was out. You know, I dealt with Leak again. I dealt with Nicholas Blair and Adam and Chris Jennings and talking like this, Dr. Hoffman, all of that. And now everything old is new again. Because, you know, this really is Barnabas's episode of Fantasy Island. You know, this is great. This is Barnabas going to a future he understands. And you know, on every Fantasy Island episode, the fantasy always going great. And then there's the element that enters in that's going to introduce a learning experience or something and just ruins everything.
Gordon?
Yeah, and I think Lacey does a really good job, not just playing Trask, but giving Gregory Trask a little bit more menace than he did back in 1795. And in 1795, he's basically just, ooh, witches, ooh, I'm going to come after you and burn you on the stake. Whereas here, there's a real palpable, he just oozes abuse and malevolence and self-righteousness. And he is asking to be taken down.
He is sincere in 1795. Here, he's not. He's just pure evil.
Yeah.
You know, he's self-involved, crazy. And at least, you know, Isaiah Trask or Orville is, I think, the name he was finally given by the Big Finish people. And Orville is, you know, I mean, somewhere Orville was ordained. And we imagine Orville might listen to that guy, or if you showed Orville enough passages in the Bible, he would go, oh, all right, you're right. But this guy, he's, you know, I mean, this guy's more secular than Richard Dawkins, probably. And it's all just a big scheme.
Yeah, he owns his own school called Worthington Hall. He has a daughter named Charity Trask who's going to show up in this episode. I really like the fact that, because you have Jerry Lacey playing a Reverend Trask, or playing a Gregory Trask, I should say, and it doesn't feel like that character, the same character from 1795 at all. It feels completely different.
Well, because it is a different character, Jewel.
Well,
like, you know that, right?
Right. That's what I'm trying to say. That it has been easy to like them to do the rinse and repeat thing, and I'm glad they don't here. I'm glad they give Jerry Lacey a completely new version of Trask to play.
However,
what's that?
They don't do the rinse and repeat, but they do have basic hygiene on Dark Shadow.
Yeah, I mean, they do bathe Jewel. They do lather on occasion.
They don't bathe Jewel. Jewel wasn't there at the time. But Jewel doesn't need bathing. I'm sure he smells fresh and clean. Careful in the shower, though. And they went through that.
Yeah, I've somewhat learned my lesson.
Yeah, I've heard that Louis Edmonds had a very manly scent, but I can't say I experienced it personally.
It was big rum and poppers.
But I really like the way he plays this character, very holier than thou, and very, very self-righteous. he also has no problem going toe to toe verbally with Barnabas, which I really, really love. And it doesn't feel like the 1795 stuff with Reverend Trask. It feels very different and very fresh. It doesn't feel like, again, we're getting the same old, same old. No, this is much more heated. This is much more of a hatred feel. And you get this feeling that there's something not really right with Mr. Gregory Trask over here, and you sort of see this evil in his eyes. And I loved how Catherine Lee Scott as Rachel Drummond is so good. It is just killer awesome. Their Jerry Lacey and hers chemistry in this episode is gold, pure gold. I really love it. I love how he says, "Come here." I said, "Come here," and she's sort of like walking to him like a person under hypnosis almost, but she's afraid of him as well. And you sense that fear right away. Even when she's talking to Barnabas, you sense that fear. There's just such great acting throughout Dark Shadows. And when you really see just performers work their ass off, you really appreciate it. What did you guys think of Barnabas and Quentin here somewhat getting along?
That's kind of the beginning of their collaboration. I get the feeling Quentin wants to trust him, but his life experience tells him that no one can be trusted.
Yeah.
So he doesn't yet realize he's dealing with one of the Knights of the Swinging Dead, and that he will, that he'll come to see him as the brother he never had. He didn't really have one in Carl and Edward,
Yeah, because you have to understand. Yeah, you have to keep in mind Quentin comes from a really messed up family. I mean, you got Edward, you got Judith, you got Carl, and he's looking at Barnabas like Barnabas is about as close to normal as he'll ever know at this point.
He really is, and I think Quentin's main suspicion is, you haven't put out an agenda yet. It's coming. Okay, it's not here yet. This is the long con. Okay, it's gonna come now, right? No, not yet. Boy, Barnabas, you're good. You're good. I may have to pull the sword off the wall and break a lamp, but I'll get it.
Right. That's something Quentin's very used to. He's used to agendas and the other shoe dropping. Here he's meeting somebody whose agenda isn't so much for himself, it's for the life of two children. And 1897 is great because it gives you that Barnabas knows all too well what it is to watch a kid die. He watched his sister die. He does not want to witness kids die again. And same thing with 1897 when Laura finally shows up in this arc and the kids are burning in the room. He knows he's got to do something, and he disappear. He uses his vampire powers to get them the hell out of there, which was really saved their asses. Cool scene. I know that's not in this episode, but Barnabas's mission is to save two children in the future, and he's got to find out this secret of Quentin's, or what's going on with Quentin, to solve this big problem. And he sees that Quentin cares about Jameson, and that's sort of this episode is his hint. Okay, Quentin does care about something other than himself, and he hides Jameson because he says, "I know you hid Jameson from Gregory," and he says, "You said that, I didn't." I love David Sophie's line. So good, and he delivers it so awesomely.
He had a cabinet that he had to hide Jameson in, and Jameson, okay, right in this cabinet.
What did you guys think of Rachel Drummond and Trask here?
It's sickening in the best way, because you just so want her to tell him off and say, "Count with the Collinses now." They hear.
Yeah, you just want to see her Like give him a good swift kick in the man pants and watch him crumble.
Or a good smack
But you
across
can tell.
the face.
But you can tell that like she's been really traumatized by this guy. This
Yeah.
isn't. This is not just and I mean what he's describing was a state of affairs for some schools in the late 19th century. But I think the fact that she sells it with the fact that it's not just I don't want to deal with this guy because he's a pain. She is genuinely afraid of him.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had to put her up if you had to choose between Trask and Barnabas in full vampire mode, she's going to go to Barnabas because at least Barnabas is like somewhat kind to her.
Yeah. Yeah, he's even willing to offer. He even refuses to leave when Gregory insists he leaves, but it's Rachel who says, "Please leave us." And he says, "I'll be in the study if you need me." He doesn't want to leave, but he does. He's out of respect for her. He does. Yeah, he does. He has no respect for Gregory Trask, and he shouldn't because Gregory Trask is a piece of shit. It's just so evil. But I really love Nancy Barrett. We get the knock on the door. She's not playing a Collins this time. She is playing a Trask, and my God, does she do it very, very, very well. She has one of the most, not in this episode, but in this arc, she has one of the best lines to Quentin when she says, "Why don't you go in town and find one of your sluts?"
I don't remember him saying that precisely.
He
Well,
says,
she says sluts.
wait, she calls Gregory Trask a slut?
No. And there's an episode where her and Quentin are in the drawing room, I believe. And she says something to the aspect of, why don't you go find one of your sluts or something? She says,
okay, there's a difference between she may have said something like one of your ladies of ill repute or whatever, but they're not going to use sluts in late 60s daytime television.
I'm
Joel.
telling you, they did. They certainly did.
Okay, for the viewers out there, prove me wrong. Show me. I want receipts, Joel. Anybody can talk smack. I can once say that I could claim that like Patrick and I once beat a man to death with breadsticks from Olive Garden. Doesn't make it true. Pics and receipts, or it didn't happen.
I'll find the episode.
I'm challenging you, Joel. I'm calling you out publicly. I'm calling you out.
I will find the episode, and that'll be my selection, and we'll watch it. So, but in this episode, we have Quentin Hyden, Jameson. We have the arrival of the wonderful, lovely Nancy Barrett as Charity Trask, and she recognizes Rachel. So that's how you get the conversation between Rachel Drummond and Gregory Trask, which is really cool. She actually tells Rachel that her father is here for the children, of course, which is just, again, I really love the chemistry between the actors and actresses on this show. They do a really good job. You can tell they're very comfortable and familiar with each other. They know how to sell when to be afraid of another character. Everybody's such a pro in Dark Shadows. It's not even funny.
Good. They're very good. I wrote about this episode twice.
Yeah.
And I was about to reread those essays when things happened, and I couldn't. So clearly the episode really stuck with me. Which was odd watching at this time. There's nothing really supernatural that goes on. But it is a wonderful opportunity to see Barnabas go at it with Trask, and then Barnabas with Quentin, and to see these two relationships working off one another. I think at one point, as I talked about with Trask, is that I think perhaps something that might make Quentin a little uncomfortable about Trask is that Trask is could become He's a con man with chops.
Yeah.
And you know, has found the most successful con he can play. And really, I think one of the reasons, I swear to God, one of the reasons I think he's given mutton chops is so that we do identify him kind of with Quentin, like, you know, the Earth 3 Quentin or something. And so that we see one of the roads Quentin could go down if Barnabas doesn't intervene.
Well, Trask and Quentin do have one thing in common. You can tell by the way they use their walk, they're both women's men, no time to talk.
That's very true. That's right. And that's how they continue staying alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Staying alive. Staying alive.
I have a Shaggy Dog joke that has that as the punchline. And it deals with an Asian chef who's this amazing Asian chef in New York. And there's a writer for the New York Times who's trying to get an interview with him. But he's got a cooking setup in the middle of the restaurant, you know, like he's the superstar in there. And he does it just to meet women. And so finally, the author gets him just a moment alone, and he says, "I'm not going to talk to you." And why? I'm too busy trying to get the girls. He said, "What? How do you do that?" And he said, "You can tell by the way I use my walk. I'm a woman's man, no time to talk."
Damn.
Crickets.
What's you guys' favorite scene in this episode?
Did you take this all in?
What's that?
You look very trim. You look very, very, very GQ today.
No, it's just like this. I didn't trim my beard or nothing.
Not a bed. You're a handsome devil.
My wife sometimes plays with my beard, but that's about it.
What is her name? Anyway.
Her name is Julie. That's her name.
Julie, how convenient.
Yeah. Oh my God. What's you guys' favorite scene in this episode?
I like this. I like the scene with Barnabas, where Quentin and Barnabas are coming to some sort of accord. But I also like the Rachel Drummond is almost able to stand up to Trask, and then she can't, and just that potential energy that sort of goes.
Yeah, I'd have to say the initial Barnabas Quentin conversation, but I think the scene with Rachel is a close second because even though there's nothing supernatural, this is a horror episode because you actually experience what she went through. And this isn't just Trask is not Gregory Trask is not like he's not boastful. He's not about say religious piety. This guy is a scumbag, and who he at some point when Barnabas was about to buy. When Barnabas bit Charity, I'm thinking, yes, this dude deserves to have his daughter attacked by Barnabas.
Well, he's used to biting characters played by Nancy Barrett to gain some control. That's his thing at this point. And it is part of the cyclical, nature of the show. One thing that always fascinates me is horror movies that are not called horror movies, like Oligana or something like that, and monsters who are not theoretically monsters. So, I use Parallel Time Quentin, 1970 Parallel Time Quentin as an example of being the monster in that. And Gregory Trask outdoes him tremendously.
I really like my favorite scene is when Barnabas is looking up at the window to Charity Trask's room before he goes in and bites her, because he knows what he has to do to infiltrate the house of Trask. He's going to do it, and it's
nice work if you can get it.
right. And it's so awesome. that he's like, okay, I got you this time. I'm gonna. Your daughter's gonna be my personal spy, and it's so good. It's the build up to the bite and the bite itself, but I love the build up to the bite as he's standing there looking up at the window. Really, really cool. Is there anything you guys want to add about this episode?
No, I don't have anything else. It's a good tight episode.
Yeah, it is.
And it's they managed to make again a figure of organized religion look like a bad guy without making organized religion look bad. Happy Sunday.
By the way, I have a question for you guys. Are we still doing the Lost in Space thing tomorrow?
I would like to. Have you talked to Don?
Yeah, he's on for tomorrow, but I think we have to do 10:30 because of West Coast time.
That's fine.
So, yeah, I can be there.
Okay. So tomorrow, 10:30, we're gonna pay tribute to
Mark Goddard.
Yeah, Mark Goddard. So from Lost in Space. So I'm gonna try to watch some Lost in Space episodes tomorrow after I write some of my story. So
I have two suggestions. Because the two that I reviewed specifically for this. One is called The Space Primevals.
Okay.
And one is called The Antimatter Man. And I think they're both from season 3, which is the most fun season. And they're interesting Don West episodes because both of them have Don West be something other than Don West, although Don West is great.
Did I tell you that recently I watched Autofocus?
When do we get to discuss it?
Probably this coming weekend.
Okay.
How's
okay? Yeah, I'll have to bow out because I'm going to be moving this weekend. So yeah. I'll look forward to watching you, Patrick, and Butch discuss it.
Yeah, we got to bring in Butch for this. I'm limbering up.
Okay. Well, we'll do Saturday because me and Butch are doing Ravenous Friday, so we'll do Saturday.
I love Ravenous. That's my management model is the Jeffrey Jones character.
Really?
Yeah, I'm totally serious. That's my command model. Somewhere between Jeffrey Jones's character in that, but without the dietary issues, and Henry Blake from MASH.
Yeah, really good movie. I love the scenery of it. I love how they shoot the movie and they have this cool scenery. I can't wait to discuss it. You want to join us Friday night too, Patrick?
Yes, I do. I love that movie.
Okay, 9:45 Friday, and we'll do 9:45 Saturday for early for you guys. Okay, so I'll see you guys tomorrow night at 10:30. I gotta go track some stuff down. I'll see you guys, and I'll see Patrick over the weekend. Guys, have a good one. Gordon, good luck with your move, buddy.
Thanks. See y'all tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Live wisely.